Okay, I'm going to try to answer the question about discourse communities and audience. So, what's the difference between those two, right? If we think about audience and discourse communities, the discourse community is always naturally inclined to be a little bit more narrow. Your audience is as is expected by the journal, by the publication. Those things will always be indicators of who the audience is. But the discourse community does tend to have those special features, like Belzer says, that they're experts in their field. They may be at different levels, but they're all part of a community where they have a certain specialized set of verbiages, jargons, whatever you want to call it, legalese or medicalese are examples of those. So if we think about discourse community versus audience, there may be several things that an author does to think about the audience as separate from the discourse community. They know, for example, that there are going to be people in the discourse community who totally get and understand their terminologies, but they may define them because they think there's some other people in this audience who might not know them. For example, in a paper I recently did on the feminist media rhetorics on Twitter, I had to define the word troll, which I thought was like ridiculous because anybody who's in my discourse community, which is feminist rhetoricians on Twitter, I guess, they know what a Twitter troll is. So, but there are many people who are interested who might not use Twitter regularly or have just started or are just interested in fourth wave feminism and the use of social media to forward an activist agenda, that they might need to understand what a troll is and how that works and how trolling works. So I had to spend time on that to address an audience that I was imagining. Okay, so every time you take a discourse based class, you're inside a discourse community. You're reading things that are probably aimed at a discourse community of which you're either a young member or you are potentially not the imagined audience for, right? So an audience is always going to be broader. There's always going to be an element of, I don't know who's in it. But generally speaking, the audience is something that's more narrow than the broad audience of an entire magazine, of an entire journal. So if you think about the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, the entire subscribership is not the actual audience. The actual audience is measured by the topic, by the author, by the area, even the place in which it's published, if it's only published digitally versus published in print. Also, those things contribute to how many people it reaches, what's called the circulation or digital circulation of a particular piece, right? So think about all those things. And if we bring it back to our work, we're really looking at like, how does the author consider the audience and the potential pushback against their ideas when they write this work? And can you see that in the actual rhetorical choices, right? I hope that answers the question. And if you have follow-up questions, you know where to find me. Bye.